Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of The Doors. Today, we are talking about notes to a future self. So, we are asking ourselves questions that our future selves can answer and to help us understand the things that we are making moves on now and the mindsets we're in at this moment and how it has changed in the years and times to come. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day.
Hey guys, Nick here.
What's going on, y'all? Zach here.
We're just two guys trying to make the world a better place.
And welcome to The Doors.
And 3, 2, 1. Hello, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of The Doors. My name is Nicholas.
I'm Zachary.
And we're the developers of our own opportunities, reinforcing success. Today, we are back together after a long-awaited time of online, of separation. But we're back here, and we're doing a special episode today that's going to allow us to really look into the future, look into the past, and just see where we continue to develop as individuals as we go along in this path. And that is, we're going to be asking questions that basically we answer our future selves.
Yeah. I think it's funny because, we get to a point and in life and you look back on things. You look back on the things you should have accomplished. You have a lot of regrets. I know a lot of us do, but you also have a lot of positive things. And one of the things that I've kind of lived by now is that there's a reason or a lesson that can be learned in each and every situation.
Yeah.
And so if you could tell yourself, Nicholas, if you could give your future self some form of advice in order to bring out your ultimate potential a lot earlier than life, how would you go about doing that?
I mean, this is exactly one way. I think that being introspective and understanding the situations that you're in, taking a back seat to what's actually happening and seeing the actual moves and motives you can move upon the actual thoughts that you have, actually creating action, thus allows you to move forward. And with this, we're actually asking ourselves questions that may not be the easiest or interesting at the moment, but as we continue to develop, I mean, we're a year and a half now into our podcast, The Doors, and what we're doing. I want to look back in 10 years and be like, my answer changed completely, you little son of a bitch.
But that's what's so great about asking yourself these things.
Yeah.
These thoughts expand.
Yeah.
So if you're asking yourself now, how can I accomplish the next 10 years of goals and aspirations in these 6 months? Guess what? You're probably going to fall very short, but you're going to get a lot farther than you were just doing your regular thing.
Yeah.
So that's going to go to my very first question, Nick, that I really want to ask you is, do you believe that our decisions and our actions actually mold us into the individuals that we are today?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Based upon a lot of the things that we've been constantly thinking about is exactly what I just said, is that your thoughts are what make you who you are. The things that you think are, the things that define who you are the actions you take upon those actual thoughts. So yes and no. It's a combination of both. I mean, the actions to just start the journey of 1,000 miles, to create the doors, to begin any journey, that defines something. But you are what you constantly think about.
You are, and we talk about all the time about as you think, so shall you be. Thoughts become things, all these different aspects. And I don't think people really understand what that truly means. They don't understand how truly powerful it is to, sit there and say, well, I'm the greatest on earth, or sit there to say, I'm a piece of shit. The two are on very different spectrums.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. They're on very, very different opposite ends of the spectrum. But what you realize is that what you think and what you say, you're going to end up getting back, good or bad. And that would be one of the things that I would nail into my future self. And that's what this is titled, A Note to Our Future Selves. I would nail that into myself and just be like, look, in order to change, in order to be successful, you have got to change the way you look at things. Don't be so closed-minded all the time. It's like, do you live in a beautiful place? Do you live in a hostile place? How do you see the world? Is it awesome, fruitful, delivering successful people, or is it a bunch of pieces of shit? It's all based on your own perspective.
Yeah. And that's very interesting. I mean, this is the reason why we're even doing this is we want to be able to categorize this journey.
Yes.
I want to be able to look back in the years to come and be like, okay, I understand the decisions that I was making, that you, Zach, are making, and the things that we're doing together to try to move us forward. And it allows us to move away further from an impractical self, more towards not a perfect self, but something that allows us to be more practical and like in every moment, whether it be our thoughts or actions, what we say, what we do. I'm going to ask you a question for your future self.
Okay.
What actions do you think right now are the most important moving forward? It doesn't have to be just for the doors, just in general in life, that allow you to either be more successful or even on the opposite spectrum. What are you worried about at the moment for your future self?
Okay. I'm going to start at the back end of the question. So, what am I most worried about is almost being forgotten. You know what I mean? Like not living up to my utmost potential. Everybody's got like a flame inside of them. We talk about this all the time. Your job, at least this is my opinion, on this earth is to help other people light their flames. So what if you were supposed to touch all these people, or you were supposed to be one of those people who, led this movement, but instead of doing what you were supposed to do, you let that flame die inside you. You didn't reach out. You didn't go the distance. You didn't work hard. So now in turn, you're sitting there looking back at your life full of regrets, full of these, depressive thoughts that really, if you would have took a step back a couple of years ago, you could get rid of these. You know what I mean? I want people to realize that everyone has that flame inside them, and don't be one of those people that die with it still inside you. Bring it out.
And that's such a key important point. And I mean, like I listened to a podcast today. It was Joe Rogan and Kanye West, and I urge you to go listen to it because it's so powerful. And like, honestly, it gave me a whole new light into perspective of what's going on with Kanye and his ideals. I thought he was crazy. He's just smart in the way he thinks. He thinks differently. But what he's talked about mostly, one of the parts he did is he talked about how well that people worry so much. People put so much anxiety into different things, and what it is it's a fear. It's a fear of the unknown. It's a fear of whatever's happening. But he talked about that his only fear is God. His only fear is the utmost potential of what created him, or he believes created him in the world around him. And that because he fears that, he doesn't fear anything else.
Exactly.
And that's a powerful notion. It doesn't matter what you believe in or anything, but if you realize that the moves you make affect the things around you, and you continue to do it, words from Kanye West himself, you realize that the moves you make and the things you're doing are affected by yourself, your actions, your beliefs, your opinions, and you make moves on that yourself.
And that's another thing. In my note to my future self, I would put that in there. Let go and let God. You know what I mean? Walk by faith, not by sight. Because, and what does that truly mean to you, actually? What does that truly mean? It doesn't mean you give 5% of yourself. It doesn't mean you give 12%. It doesn't mean you give 99.9%. You give 100% of yourself. And people don't understand what that means. You surrender. It's a almost intimate relationship that's unique to you and you alone. But when you do that and you give yourself up, you give that vulnerable side of yourself to something higher, guess what, man? Doors are going to start opening. Answers are going to start coming in. And you're going to look back thinking, man, I was depressed. I didn't know why I wanted to live or what my purpose is. He's got you, man. You just got to open that door and let him in and ask him in.
And that goes with any faith, any religion you believe in. It's just putting your faith in the actual steps you're taking and yourself. A lot of people don't do that, and it's hard. I don't have a lot of faith in myself sometimes, but at the end of the day, when I really sit back and do an introspective look at what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, cool. These are the things and actions I'm taking. I really am taking steps forward, no matter how small or big they are.
Yeah.
And that allows you to be like, okay, cool. I'm doing something right. I'm on the right path.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, Nick.
Okay.
This is notes to your future self. What do you think is going to be a limiting factor in your future?
Honestly, it's one of the things that I wrote down in my journal here is I think being able to plan and being able to work fluidly throughout the structure of your own life is one of the most important key factors that allows people to be successful or not succeed in the things before them. I'm not the best planner. But when I do plan, even on the smallest scales, I feel more organized. I feel more in control. The whole idea of anxiety, fear, and everything else of that is mostly
Depression, turmoil, all that. Go ahead.
It's you not being able to control the circumstances you're in. And right here, I wrote down one of the things that I've been doing lately with my planner and my journal is realizing that these smaller things that I do end up leading to bigger things. And I wrote it down here. It's organizing my life on a small scale will lead to a more organized life on the large scale. So that's my biggest limiting factor, I believe, is being able to create thoughts, actions in my own head, and then being able to plan them and organize them, not so structurally, but allowing myself to understand the movements and things that I'm doing and plan my life small scale so it ends up leading to bigger scale.
And I really think that's so important for everyone listening. But, for me, one of the hardest points is it's easy for me to get into that routine, but it's hard to make that a lifestyle change. And I think a lot of people, have trouble with that. It's hard to implement it full time. But when you realize okay, this is going to be something that if I do now, it's going to be holding myself accountable. It's going to be giving me more rungs on that ladder of success. So if you take a step back, and although it may suck to be working, 7 days a week or busting your butt, training, whatever you're doing, teaching, going to school, it may suck to do that. And it may get you to a point where you're thinking, man, is this all there is? But your future self has a plan for you. Your future self is going to be so proud of the things that you are putting in right now. So just make sure that you're doing the work now that you want to see the outcome in the future.
I mean, if you think about it, the thoughts you have right now end up leading to who you are and what you're doing in the future. And that's something that's hard to realize sometimes, especially for me. I mean, but what's great is looking back at something like this, the DOORS podcast, the DOORS brand, the things that we want to move upon, and actually being like, okay, cool, this is how much I've developed. These are the steps I've taken. This is how much I've accomplished. It's the same thing with anything you can do it, like getting better at cleaning, new skills, understanding knowledge. It just takes time and effort to put in. And I've had to learn that the hard way multiple times.
So another thing that I think people dwell on too much too is we dwell on financial success.
Yeah,
a little bit too much. And that's another note that I would give my future self is to enjoy more of the moments, enjoy more of the memories, and don't make it about the money. The money's going to come. The financial success is going to come. But if you live in this illusion of abundance, I need all this money, I need more and more things, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Place importance on the values in your life.
Okay.
The traits that you want in your life. For me, I felt like I had my cup too full. New house, new car, money, cars, girls, whatever it is, working out. You have all these things.
You got your plate full.
Yeah, your plate's full. But really, you look inside and you're empty. So why are you empty if you have everything? And you have to place your importance on your values. What is important to you? What are you passionate about? Because in turn, if you're doing what you feel that you're purposely here to do, and you're passionate about that, you can be dangerous, man.
But what's interesting about all this is he's talking to y'all, but he's saying it from his own perspective. He's thinking these things about himself and moving forward. It's pretty awesome, man. I think here's another question for you. I think that I want to answer this question too, but what do you think is the most important factor in the years to come of you developing into who you want to be?
Me developing into who I want to be. What do I think is the most important factor? I've really got to go with the quote we've always used, and it's having a mind that is attached to nothing and open to everything. And the reason why, and I'm going to close my book on this because this is just going to come from the heart. The reason why I feel like you have to have a mind that is open is because if you're closed-minded, and we were just talking about this, if you constantly believe everything that someone tells you, you are going to be just that. You're going to be someone else's expectation of yourself and not what you expect you to be. And, there's so many people out there, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, these big people that changed the world, George Washington, people that just came in.
Movers and shakers.
Yeah, movers and shakers. You have all these people that have done these really amazing things, and if you look back in their life, they had many, many, many individuals tell them that they could not do something. If their mind would have been closed and they would have listened to them, guess what? We'd probably be without a lot of things, a lot of technology that we have today, but they were open-minded enough to see that there's faith in yourself and there's faith in something higher than yourself. So that's what I would say. Have a mind that's attached to nothing and open everything.
Okay.
Your turn. What would you say? Same question.
So what was the most important factor for the next years to come in me developing into who I want to be? I think it's building a sense of community around the people I care about. And I already do this, but it's continuing to build upon the actual foundations that I've already built. I have a lot of friends and people that I even are just acquaintance with. I consider you all friends as well. But as I continue to, what I've realized, especially talked about this in the last podcast, our friendship podcast, is that I want to build a community where I'm constantly in contact with the people I love and care about, because as I grow through life, I want to be able to share my life with those individuals. And just like Zach said, is you have this fire, but my whole goal through life, especially through this podcast, is to be able to not just light my own fire, but show other people that they have the power and will to do the same, as well as me helping and supporting them doing the same thing, building that fire they have. And I think that continuing on this path that I'm going on, that sense of community, that sense of family is the utmost structure that's going to allow me to continue and be so brutally on track with how honest and who I want to become.
Yeah. So, I mean, going right along with what you said, a lot of times we're very hard on ourselves. So how important do you think holding yourself accountable is to being successful in the future?
Well, I've had to come through this realization over the past year and a half. I talked about it a lot, like last podcast as well, is that you hit a brick wall. I think everyone gets into adult life and they screw up a little bit and they learn who they are, what they need to do. And you have to hit that wall. You have to hit rock bottom to understand these things. And basically I did the same thing. I wasn't very truthful with myself, my own actions. I wasn't addressing them. I wasn't there. I wasn't present in my own life to understand the actions, words, things that I was doing weren't holding me accountable to what I was actually trying to accomplish. And when you realize, I learned this through Shandy and cheerleading, is when you take accountability for your actions, anything that you're doing, if you take full accountability, instead of harboring hate or criticism, anxiety, fear, whatever it is, you address it immediately. And guess what? It's out of your head. You've already dealt with it. There's no reason to harbor hate. There's no reason to be fearful of the situation because you already got it over with.
It's easy to lie to other people, but it's impossible to lie to yourself.
Well, you have to be listening.
Yeah.
You have to be listening to yourself.
And that comes back to having that mind that's open, man. Like, you've got to be open to, learning about yourself, being able to grow from the situations that you're put in, because, we talked about the other day on the friendship podcast that you're placed in situations. If you want patience, if that's a trait you want, or you want strength, you're going to be put in situations that's going to give you those traits. You're not just going to automatically have it. And it's the same thing with, success. And, we're talking about these notes to our future self. If I want to be this beacon of self-actualization, this beacon of light, this person that no matter what room he walks in, no matter where he goes, he's uplifting people, he's lighting flames, he's throwing people into the fire, which is a coin term that me and Nick coined phrase that we use, but it's pretty great. But we want to be those people. We want to be those people that hold ourselves accountable, because if we're not holding ourselves accountable, how can we ask you to?
At the end of the day, again, these are just our own thoughts. We're trying to show you through experience what we've learned and help you guys through the same situations, or at least give you one up on the things that you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. So I think we should ask a few more questions and go into it, but get it done. But I have a question for you. Is if you could tell your future self one thing, whether it be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, what is that one thing that you would want to tell your future self?
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Oh, this is a fun podcast.
Okay. Do not allow someone to put a label on you. And I'll tell you why I
Closes the
picked
book.
that one. Yeah, I'll close the book again. Coming from the heart. Don't let anyone put a label on you. The minute someone tells you who you are, you're losing the ability right there to become who you're supposed to be. So if in turn someone tells you, and I see a lot of this from the people in my hometown, man, they get stuck. Or someone tells them, dude, like you're just meant to be a worker. You're just meant to be a laborer. Don't allow them to put a label on you. Have that mind that's so open to possibilities that you know that you can do whatever it is. It's just a little bit of work and a little bit of brain power. And I would tell myself that as long as you're willing to do the hard work and you're willing to serve other people, you're going to make it, man. Just keep it up and don't quit.
Damn.
What about you? Same question. What about you?
All right. Future Nick, what's up? I hope you're doing well. There's a quote that was taught in NCAA cheerleading staff. There's a whole story behind it that I honestly can't fully remember, but the whole thing was influencing others by trying to be your best self. I'm a positive, go-lucky guy. I know who you are in the future as well. And one phrase, just go be great. At the end of the day, you have so much laid out before you. We've gone through so much shit. We've accomplished so much. We've dug through that shit and climbed over that pile, and we're on our way to the top of this peak. But you can't let other people define your greatness. At the end of the day, it's who you are. You're the only person that's been with me 100% of the time, and you know that. And moving forward, you have to remember that you are that person. Never let anyone else tell you otherwise. And always look to the people you care and love to make sure you have that support you need. Go fucking be great.
I think that's good to end on, you guys. You know, you got to always contribute, man. And note to our future selves. We'll see you later when this is one of the fucking biggest movements in the world. I'm Zachary.
And I'm Nicholas Sternloff.
And remember, you were born to live your true potential. It doesn't matter if you have to kick, crawl, scream, whatever you need to do, just fucking do it.
It's grind time, prime time, baby.